welcome back to my channel. Today we're just going to do a little chit chat, get ready with me. It's going to be sort of Valentine's themed, hence the pink sweater and the heart earrings. I got them for like $1 at like Shein. Apparently I pronounced it wrong when I did my full dedicated video to Shein. Whoops, sorry about that. Regardless, anyways, it's also kind of going to be like a little bit of a mini review, I guess. I don't think I'm actually going to review it, but the Love palette from Natasha Denona. I did not enjoy the cheek palette, so I returned it, put those funds towards the purchase of this one. Much happier with this from what I have used so far. So let's get into it. I, first of all, apologize if I'm kind of all over the place. Bennett has a cold and he is a coughing machine, this poor little guy. So he was up during the night coughing, which woke me up, which I was then up for like a good 3.5 hours afterwards, even though he did get back to sleep, thankfully. So not full capacity today. It's a good thing that I'm not in the office today, but regardless, I am just about 6 months post gastric bypass surgery, so it's time for an update. I am working on a new what I eat in a day video with a few more like actual cooking elements to it. So I have filmed one of those meals so far, and I'm still learning how to apply makeup with the hoop in there. And there's at least one more that I know I'm going to do, but potentially 2 meals. One of those protein balls. It's not really a meal, but regardless, it's coming. Maybe by the end of the month I'll have that all put together for you guys. But I am not only just about 6 months post-surgery, but I am a pound away from 90 pounds. Yay! So I haven't done update pictures yet because I've got to wait 1 more pound. But 90 pounds, like 88.7 basically. But still, that's insane. I will say the rate of my weight loss has definitely slowed down. So while I was losing, you know, probably about 5 pounds a week at the very beginning, it's taken me about a month to lose 10 pounds now. So it's definitely slowing down, and I attribute that to a couple of things. One is that I can eat more. I don't think I'll ever be able to eat the same volume unless I like stretch my stomach out, which is not the goal. But I can eat more than I could at the very beginning. Also, I now feel some hunger pains. I don't get it every day. Just, I don't know why. Some days I feel more hungry than others. But at the beginning, I didn't have any hunger cues at all. Like, even if, and I don't recommend it, but even if I didn't eat all day, like I skipped breakfast, skipped lunch, by dinner time, I was still just kind of like I felt like I needed to eat, but I didn't have hunger pains. Like I didn't have that feeling in my stomach. There's a hair on me somewhere that I can't see. But now I'm starting to get the return of that sensation, so that obviously prompts me to eat. And then also just like my body's starting to figure out just what has happened to it. So it's just a natural progression, and I am trying not to be freaked out about it. And in fact, I'm not freaked out about it. I was kind of at first because like in January, towards the end of it, I had about 2 or 3 weeks where just nothing changed. Like the scale just stayed the same. I was stalled. And of course, I sort of fall back into the same mentality that I used to have trying to lose weight before surgery, where I'm just like, well, clearly this isn't going to work. I'm a failure yet again. Thankfully though, this time around, that didn't last for very long because I kind of have learned to shut my own head up. And of course, I also didn't like just give in to that feeling of being a failure and eat an entire pizza. So I feel like my coping techniques are a lot stronger than they ever were before, so that is good. But I am still nervous about everything because I don't want to revert to old habits, and the potential remains there, right? So just because I had surgery doesn't mean that the noggin has been changed in any sort of way. It's just my physical structure. I'm still motivated. I still am just so grateful for the change that has happened already, and I just feel so much more alive. Like I was just existing before, but I didn't have a life. Like everything was too painful and too difficult. And some things I was just honestly precluded from doing because of my weight, because of weight restrictions or just whatever. So I'm still motivated. So I think I've got that on my side, but I do need to, and I say this every time I do one of these videos because it's going to be a lifelong thing. I need to continue developing these habits because in the grander scheme of things, when you look at the fact that I've had like distorted eating, I don't want to say disordered, although the argument is strong that it probably was, but I've never officially been diagnosed, but let's call it distorted eating. I've had that for as long as I can remember, like at least 25 years. So 6 months compared to 25 years, it's not a lot of time to sort of rewire my thinking around food and all of that kind of things. So I need to just keep that top of mind. I think honestly what it comes down to for me is just finding the right balance. It's not realistic for me to tell myself that I am never allowed to eat pizza or chips. I know that I would not stick with that. So I need to learn that incorporating naughty foods every now and then and viewing them as a treat, not an everyday staple, is okay. It's not my reality, and it's honestly not my desire to only ever eat perfectly clean, healthy food. Maybe it should be, but it's not. I'm looking to do a vast improvement as to what I was eating before, and I've achieved that. But I also still want to enjoy some things that bring me joy, honestly. So I want to be able to have a treat every now and then. I have tried eating ice cream a couple of times since my surgery, and it does not sit well. It just upsets my stomach. There is a high risk of becoming lactose intolerant after this surgery, and I think that I have definitely become so. So while I could source out like non-dairy options and things like that, I just honestly don't care that much. Maybe in the summer I'll care a little bit more and go for like a slushy or something that like coconut milk ice cream or something that's not dairy. But right now, like I'm not overly concerned about it because I don't miss ice cream. I don't really care. Yesterday was Barry's birthday, and thank you to everybody who gave him wonderful birthday messages. It's just, it makes me happy to see him happy. But I didn't buy a cake. I was a terrible wife and I didn't buy a cake. But we went out for dinner, and afterwards we went to the store, and he and the kids both picked out like Aspen wanted a macaroon, whatever. She wanted one of those so badly, so that's what she got. Then it wanted some chocolate tart, and Barry got like a strawberry cheesecake tart. And I opted not to get anything, not because I was like feeling like I wasn't allowed to, but I'd eaten my dinner and I didn't really want anything more than that. So I opted not to get anything, and I felt totally fine in doing so. So it is about balance, but largely it comes down to forgiving myself. Because I think that's where I ran into the problem a lot in the past, was that I just could not forgive myself when I transgressed, which happened basically every day, which makes for a lot of self-loathing and therefore trying to soothe myself through food. So let's put a stop to that habit. I have talked in the past quite a few times about getting snowshoes and all that, and finally did get some, and the weather has not cooperated once since getting them. So I have not actually used them yet, which is a huge pain in the ass. It's just, there's limited times because of how dark it gets so early. I mean, the days are getting longer now, but still, if I wait until after work, it's pitch black, and I'm not going to be doing that. And I don't really want to pay to go to like a ski hill that has them available, especially when it's something I can just do for free at a park. And then on the weekends, it has been either that it's been raining on the weekends or it's been like -25, and I'm not doing anything in -25. I don't care how healthy I want to be. I'm not doing anything in -25. That's effing cold. That is like hurt your lungs, eyeballs freeze kind of cold, and it's altogether unnecessary. And regardless of how many layers I wear and how active I'm being, it's still mother effing cold, and I don't want to do it. And I like taking Luna with me when I go to the park, and that's too cold for her as well. Like, she has a jacket, but the boots we have for her not great. And she's gonna freeze her little paws, and her little nose is gonna, like, minus 25, it's unacceptable. Full stop, unacceptable. So I haven't used them yet. And here we are, mid-February. We've probably got maybe a month and a half left of potential snow. A week of that I will be away with my daughter, so I'm hoping that I'll get out at least once to use them. But it's not like they go bad. It's not like I'm gonna shrink out of the size for them or anything like that. So there's time in the future. I will always have them, and I will get to use them if I don't get to use them this year. So what has changed in terms of losing 90 pounds? Well, not only are my clothes a lot different in terms of their sizing, I now fit into a size 16. Not well, but I do fit into them. So I've discovered American Eagle jeans, and I can wear a 16 from them, although the 18 fits a little bit better, but it's getting a little loose. For most other stores now, though, I feel like I have to go to the store. I ordered a dress from Old Navy, and I got an XXL because there's no stretch in it, so I figured I'd need the bigger size, but it gapes under my arms. It's a little big. And I never would have thought that I'd be an extra large because I haven't been in so long. So now I feel like if I'm gonna order more clothes, I need to go to the store and try them on. And now that I can fit into XL or XXL, most stores carry both of those sizes, they will have them in stores, which is an amazing concept because even Old Navy, as huge as the stores are, don't carry the plus sizes there. They sell plus size stuff, but not in stores. I think that that's some straight fuckery, to be honest. That's just the clothing aspect. I think the biggest change for me is the confidence side of things. And my friend Danica, who often comments, or she's involved in the live chats as well that I do, and she created the bears on my header art. She pointed out, like, after I got my nose done, she's like, it's because you're not afraid to be seen anymore. And that's like a light bulb went off. Like, that's exactly it. When I was over 300 pounds, I did not want anybody to see me. And of course you can't hide because over 300 pounds, but I didn't want any attention. I didn't want people to see me. If group pictures were taking place, I wanted to be in the background. I didn't want any attention on me. I just wanted to fade away. There were days where I just didn't even want to go to work because I didn't want to have to try to find something to wear and then have to sit there with other people. Like, it's very isolating. And I have such admiration for people who can embrace their bodies and make no apologies for it, and they feel confident in themselves. And I wish that I was more like that, but I wasn't. I'm now getting there. I don't even know how to describe it. I just feel so much better about myself. And I don't want to give the message that, like, your size matters, but for me it did. I don't know how to describe it. Like, there's so many factors involved. So not only is it just that I feel as though I look better, I just feel better. I don't hurt. I don't ache. I'm not as awkward. If I squat down at a store to see what's on the bottom shelf, I can get back up. There were times where I literally thought I was going to be stuck on the floor because there was nothing to hold on to help myself get myself up. Grammar. So I just have a lot more confidence in that regard. And even in my relationship with Barry, I didn't even want to look at myself in the mirror, let alone let my husband see me or touch me. I just felt so hideous. I just did not ever feel sexy. I did not ever feel attractive, and I couldn't understand how he still continued to think that I was. I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I kind of thought that he was just effing with me. Like, because I just found it so unbelievable that anybody could think that I was attractive that I thought he had to have been lying to me. And of course he wasn't. He's Barry, he's amazing. He'd love me if my arms and legs fell off and I turned purple. Like, he's an incredible human being. And I should give him more credit than that, but I just feel so much better now. So I'm not gonna get too far into it, but back rubs, more frequent. Not going to get any more further into it than that. But it just, I say it every time, it's just so freeing. I can sit, like we went to a Stila show, stand-up comedian, amazing, highly recommend. But it was at Casino Rama, so they have like a theater in there, and normally I always ensure that I book like the aisle seats. So aisle seat, next one in, because I insist on sitting on the aisle seat so that I can lean that way to give the person beside me more room. And the idea of sitting in the middle of an aisle just would honestly, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't do it. So I would miss out on things because I knew that if I sat in any seat other than an aisle seat, I would have to sit like this in order to not push into the people beside me. And sometimes, depending on the venue, the seats are too small as well, and I'd have to like squish my hips and butt into it, and it's a horrible, embarrassing, awful feeling. So we went to this show and didn't have an aisle seat, and I booked the tickets, and I was okay not booking an aisle seat, and sitting in there, I was fine. I had room to spare. It was an incredible feeling, and it was just one of those things that, like, if you've never been severely overweight, I don't think you'd ever think about stuff like that. Like, there's the whole, like, checking of weight restrictions, things like that, but just the amount of physical space you take up in a chair. I'm so glad that I don't have to worry about that anymore. Like, it seems like such a trivial thing, but if you sit for an hour and a half at a show or a sporting event and you're just constantly concerned about encroaching on somebody else's personal space just because of your size, it can really distract from what you're there to go see. And you just feel like it's just an hour and a half of you contemplating your size and every decision that's ever led you to that point. I have a flight coming up with Aspen, and I'm not worried which seat we get put in because I'm gonna fit. And I suspect that this year I'm actually gonna be able to put my meal tray down because I wasn't able to last year. My stomach was in the way. I couldn't put my actual tray down. And there's nothing like life coming up and smacking you in the face than just not even being able to put a tray to put your meal down on. Like, it's so embarrassing. I've lost my brush. What the fuck? There it is. Okay. And so, as I said, I'm just about 90 pounds gone. And if I am just about 90 pounds gone, that means that I'm just about 100 pounds gone. Which just seems like such an impossible number, and yet I'm like 11 pounds away from it. It's crazy. I've already started thinking about how I want to structure my video when I share that news with you guys, and I'm so excited. I'm just so excited. Hi, sorry for the startling close-up, but we're going to move on to eyes now. And we're also going to move on to the topic of work after I take a sip. This is the extra caffeine Diet Coke. I wish it came in just like regular Diet Coke flavor. They have it in toasted vanilla. It's a little sweet for my liking. It has no sugar in it, but I don't know, the taste is just weird to me. It's not terrible, but not my favorite. Okay, so I'm gonna go in with the shade Valentine here, which is this nice light pink. So work has been really slow, which is a blessing and a curse. It's nice to be able to sort of like decompress and take a break and not be super stressed out with a bunch of like court dates and stuff like that, but at the same time I'm self-employed. So when I'm not busy with work, I'm not billing and therefore not making money. So bless you, Luna. So it's a little stressful in that regard. Anyways, my business partner and I found out yesterday that we are going to be moving our office. So we have looked at a few offices over the past few months, and they just haven't been right. Some of them, the offices were literally too small for our furniture. She and I have the same desk, and they're like, it's a big U-shaped, and it's like 6 feet by 8 feet. Like, it's a huge desk. So we need fairly large offices. Another one that we looked at, it was just a really weird layout. Like the person who owned the building, it was a century home, she still lived in the building. So when our clients entered, they would enter into like her dining room area and then have to go upstairs. And because it was such an old home, like the plugs were like halfway up the wall. There was no outlets on the like floor. It was just really bizarre. And some of the rooms, the ceilings didn't go, like the walls didn't go all the way up to the ceiling, because when they did the renovations to install those, they didn't want to mess up like the decorative ceilings. So there'd be very little privacy, which is kind of important in my field of work. So just not great options. And then we've looked at, we haven't gone into them, but we had like viewed postings online for other office spaces, but they were like actual like corporate office buildings where there's multiple different businesses in there. And then, you know, it's not our feel. We are very laid back, not in terms of the work that we do, but just in terms of like our approach. Like oftentimes we'll wear jeans to the office. We've got the dog walking around. We're just more low key. And our office space kind of displays that. Like we are in a century home right now. We're on the 2nd floor and there's a dental office below us. You don't walk in and it doesn't like drip money. It's not huge and corporate looking. It's not super modern. Like we have the wood floors. It's really nice and homey looking. And that's the kind of feel that we want to continue. Like we want to be approachable. That is sort of one of the things that sets us apart. And one of the things that I really enjoy is when people tell us that we are approachable. I was just retained by a person very recently who told me she saw our advertisement on the back of a bus and just thought that the picture of Allison and I just put her at ease. She thought that we looked very approachable. That was her word. She's like, you guys look like you know what you're doing, but you don't look like you just want to argue. I'm like, nailed it. So that's the kind of feel that we're looking for in an office as well. And we have found it. We went and looked, I think about a week ago, and we fell in love with the space. It is, I don't know that it's a century home, probably close to it, but it is an older home. It's standalone, so we would have the entire building. There is enough office space for us to hire another associate, which is in the works. We have that in mind. Right now it's my partner and I, and we have 1 associate, and then we have 2 clerks, and we want to bring in 1 more associate at a minimum. And luckily my partner and I didn't have any sort of disagreement in terms of which would be partner offices. So there are 2 offices, 1 upstairs and 1 downstairs, which are larger. And I wanted the upstairs one and she wanted the downstairs one. So that worked out really well. And the upstairs one, I just find that it's really nice and bright. It's got like a really nice large window and really high ceilings. And also the bathroom that's up there has like a full-on soaker tub with jets. That's amazing. I don't know how much I'm actually going to use that, at least during the actual workday, probably not so much. But I could see myself going in after hours and taking a soak in the tub there. And Aspen is very excited about it as well, because she's like, it's like a hot tub. Like, it's pretty darn close. And so we had put in our offer to lease, and they came back with a couple changes. We came back with a couple more. We just negotiated the terms and they accepted. So we've even managed to negotiate the price down a little bit, and we take possession in May. And it's really, really exciting. Now, part and parcel with all of this, we are also going to be adding different services to our firm. So right now we are exclusively family law. That's all we do. Sorry, I just realized I told you the shade name for the first one and then nothing else. So my associate and my partner are going to be adding wills to their roster, and then there's a potential for us to also add real estate. So like buying and selling of houses and stuff like that. I have not yet decided whether or not I am particularly interested in adding those to my roster, but at least the option is there. it would be a nice break from family law, but I've never done either of those areas and I don't know that I want to start. I don't have to, which is the lovely thing about being the owner, is that I get to decide what I do. But I'm also the only one who does cohabitation and like marriage contracts, like prenups. So I get all of those files. There's not a ton of them, but you get enough to keep you busy. So that's sort of what I bring to the table that's different than the others. And my partner and I are also planning on taking mediation training so that we can offer that as a service as well once we're accredited. So we have big plans in the works and I'm really excited about it. I am very nervous about it as well. Change always makes me nervous. It just feels like the next step. Like it feels like we're growing up a little bit because we'll be the only office in there or the only business in there. So it's really exciting. I will do liner and mascara off camera and think about if there's anything else. And then I'll pop back in and show you the final look. I'll be right back. Yeah, no, I don't have anything else to update you guys on, but here's the final look. For lips, I used one of the Physicians Formula Rosé Kiss All Day Velvet Lip Colors in the shade First Kiss. I love it. I love these so much. I did buy another one of them. There it is. I can tell you right now, Barry and I probably not going to be doing anything for Valentine's Day. We've had like 17 of them together and we have kids. We don't really do anything for Valentine's Day. I honestly can't think of anything worse than trying to go to a restaurant on Valentine's Day, especially this year when it falls on a Friday. No thank you. I worked in a restaurant during Valentine's Day and it was a nightmare because you have like 45-minute seatings and then you have to flip them over, and if they want to stay there you gotta get like super aggressive and kick them out, and it's a pain and I don't want to be eating on a clock. So Barry and I will probably order some Chinese in, watch a movie at home. It'll be all good. And honestly, it's just a day. It's just a day. And it's gonna sound super cheesy, but Barry kind of makes every day feel like Valentine's Day. Like, I don't need a special day for that. So I'm cool with having no plans. But if I did have plans, this might be the kind of look that I would go for. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for taking the time to watch, and I will see you in my next video. Until then, just be a decent human being. Bye for now.